2025 regular meeting of the Holland City Council. I'm Mayor Nathan Box, and I'm calling the meeting to order. Brenda, would you please call the roll?
We'll start with Byrd.
Present.
Freeman.
Present.
Raymond. Here. Corbin. Here. Soul. Here. Rowan.
Here.
Shea.
Here.
Schultheis. Mayor Box.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Wonderful, thank you. We're going to begin this evening's meeting as we have for many years, first with an opening prayer this evening by Councilmember Shea, followed immediately by the Pledge of Allegiance, and we would invite you to join us.
Dear Creator, we thank you for this day and this beautiful weather. We ask you for sound minds and wise choices as we lead this beautiful city. In God's name, we pray.
Thank you, Mr. Shea. Next item on our agenda are our consent agenda items. These are items that are considered to be fairly routine, and they have been reviewed by council members as part of our council packet, and they will be enacted in one motion unless a member of the public or a member of council asks to have an item removed from the consent agenda, and then it will be placed in its regular order on the regular agenda. But before I ask if anyone would like to do that, Brenda, would you please review the council or the consent agenda items for us?
Yes. 4A, excuse the absence of Councilmember Schultheis. 4B, approve the minutes of the June 18, 2025 regular meeting and the June 25, 2025 study session. 4C, oaths of office. 4D, claim filed against the city. 4E, approve updates to the city's soil erosion and sediment control procedures. 4F, award bid for 3-year excavation services. 4G, declare transportation items as surplus. 4H, approve the purchase of 1 dump truck with plow for the transportation department. 4I, approve the purchase of picnic tables for the ice park. 4J, approve the purchase of tactical transport vehicle for Public Safety Services Police Division. 4K, the annual discrimination report. And 4L, a revocable license agreement for permeable brick pavers in the right-of-way at 680 Washington Avenue.
Great, thank you. Is there any member of the public that would like to have an item removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda? Seeing none. Is there any member of council that would like to have an item removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda, or is there any correction to any item on the consent agenda? Mr. Corbin, did you have anything? Nope. Oh, was it corrected already? Okay, great, thank you. I thought we did have something we were talking about previously just for the public, and a slight correction on the minutes from last week's meeting, but I believe that we're last time's meeting, but we did have that corrected already. Great. Is there anyone who wanted anything removed from the consent? Seeing none there. What is the pleasure of council in regard to the consent agenda?
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Moved by Freeman. Is there support by Ms. Soul?
Support.
Support by Soul. Any discussion?
Just want to thank real quick all the work that Esther has done on her report. That was a great report, so I thank her.
Great. Thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none. Brenda, would you please call the roll?
Okay, Byrd.
Yes.
Freeman.
Yes.
Raymond.
Yes.
Corbin.
Yes.
Soul.
Yes.
Rowan.
Yes.
Shea.
Yes.
And Mayor Box.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Great, thank you. Next item on the agenda is item number 5, public comment. Under the Open Meetings Act of the State of Michigan, we provide the public the opportunity to address council at each and every one of our regular meetings, our study sessions, and also at every single one of our board, committee, and commission meetings. We do have guidelines that we ask you to follow, however. We do limit the time to 5 minutes. There are 3 lights on the dais in front of me. There is a red light, a yellow light, and a green light. Green light means you're doing well on time. Yellow light means that you have 1 minute left. And the red light means that your time has expired, and we are strict about that. We ask that when you approach the podium, please state your name and the municipality in which you live. It's important for us to know whether or not you are a resident of the City of Holland. We also ask that you direct all of your comments to the members of the council. You may speak on any subject that you would like to, but this is one-way communication. We do not engage in conversation or discussion at this time, nor do we answer direct questions. But if you have a question that may be able to be answered by staff, they can circle back to you after the meeting. Now, having said that, is there anyone here who would like to address council at this time? Please come forward. And would you please state your name and municipality for the record?
Hi, my name is Rick Bosch, and I live in Holland, Michigan. And for my t-shirt, you probably have an idea as what I'm going to be talking about tonight. I've been a volunteer at the Holland Museum since 2017, and I've been working my way through the museum, starting off at tulip time, working in the archives as a docent, various committees, and last week I finally joined the board of directors. And it's an organization that I think is incredibly important to the community and just really want to support it in any way I possibly can. One of the things, as I've thought about it over the last 8 years, is I really look at it as being a three-legged stool. And with the three legs, the first one is the collections. We have 120,000 items in there. In the past, they really were limited in the basement. You know, historians and folks like that used these to write well over 100 books, but it was really difficult for the public to see what was there. And I think the museum's just been doing a great job in the last few years, especially with Rick Jenkins, just trying to make this stuff more available, whether it's through Facebook postings, whether it's things on the on their website. You know, we're up to about 30,000 of those, which are now available for people to find out more about them if they are interested. And I think this is just something that's really great that we've been doing. You know, we're still actively, trying to preserve things. We get things coming in every week. I'm part of the collections committee, and it's just so interesting just seeing all the different things that do come in and just trying to make this information available to the public however we can. Another important part of the museum are the exhibits, the talks, the tours. You know, this is another leg. And it's something that when I joined 8 years ago, seemed to be most of it was Dutch related. And when Ricky Levine came on board, she really did a great job of expanding it to so many other topics and so many other things that are relevant to the city of Holland. Sometimes we got into a little bit of trouble with some of these things, but overall, I think it's been the right thing to do, and it's something that I hope we can continue to expand. One of the things that I have noticed is that, like the last Free Monday night, which is the second Monday night, I always volunteer for that one because there's lots of people to talk to. We had over 200 people in the museum that night. So, people are there. We've got our ice cream social coming up in a few weeks. And we'll probably have, I think they had 300 there last year. We're expecting about the same. And so, people are very interested in the museum, especially if you got the word free in front of it. And I just really hope that we can continue to do this and just continue to, work in these directions. We've expanded so much, especially into the Hispanic community. We're really trying to reach out to LOOP and some of the other organizations. And we've just started to make some inroads into the Southeast Asian populations also, and just trying to get them involved and just collect art, things that are important to them, because these are all very interesting immigrant stories that are part of the history of Holland, and we want to make sure that these really do get collected. The last leg of the stool is the financial and the infrastructure leg. Last year the city did a great job of repairing a lot of the issues that had to be repaired with the museum. I know it was expensive, but it was the right thing to do, and now the building's in a lot better shape, and hopefully it will last us for many years to come. The other issue is the financial issue, and I know that's out there. I know that there's been talk about a millage. I'm not really sure where all of this stands. I'm sure some of you are much more familiar with it than I am. But I just hope that you can support it, either as a city council or each individually, just to help us get through this. As I've been involved, the museum has just been kind of muddling through for the last 10, 15 years, just not really having things under control financially. And I think that we're now at the point where we really can make some great inroads in that, especially with a millage that would then give us some money coming through every year, and then being able to build on from that. I'm somebody who highly supports that, highly supports the museum, and ready to do really whatever I can do to help out with that. We've got the right people involved now. Now is the time to start working on that. Matt Helmus recently joined the Collections Committee, and 10 years ago, if you look at Windmill Island, they had a lot of issues, and he's really straightened that out, and I know that he's been talking to Michelle Sempian, just trying to help us get some things figured out, how we should be going forward. And I really look forward to continuing to work with Matt. And the same thing with Art Talsma, suddenly saying that he wants to combine his wonderful collection with the museum's collection and just starting to get going on that. These are the sorts of things that we can continue to do if we have that millage money. And I just hope that the city and the city council can support that going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address council at this time? And would you please state your name and municipality for the record?
Ann Henriksen, Zealand. A resident reported that the Pride Festival drew a bigger crowd than Juneteenth or the Tuesday American Legion Band Shell concerts put together. The Pride vendor tents, ACLU, Democrat Party, Black Lives Matter, LGBT plus books, etc., were extensively covering all the entire upper level property. Food trucks lined the walkway. They had a fun event. Pride had a band that performed on the portable stage, not the band shell. Thank you, Mr. Verbeek, for enforcing your revised policy. Last year you told me we could not erect a stage on the grass. Looks like you've added something new to the policy itself. I assume the City of Holland did not financially support the event because there were no signs that publicized the donor like in the past. However, the Human Relations Commission had a tent. As they said, they chose to be there as a commission. I wonder if they also had this event in their budget somewhere, but not specified. It seems the band shell policy of requiring a city sponsor is in effect. Much of the reasoning seems to apply to the use of the park itself. Religious organizations are denied a City of Holland sponsorship, which results in not allowing the use of the band shell at all. The denial also is based on how the use would affect the other uses of the park as a whole. Being that Collin Park is located adjacent to a large family-oriented neighborhood, large festivals like Juneteenth and Pride should be a concern for the council. A religious service or worship concert would draw a much smaller crowd. For the Pride Festival, parked cars in front of residential homes were extensive, with crowds walking down the usual quiet streets. Crowd noise and activities were noticeable. In March 2025, City Manager Mr. Verbeek replied through his assistant to the citizens' public email stating, I quote, "For practical and free speech purposes, the band shell is a unique form that does warrant more limited use that restricts your request as religious groups and organizations to use the band shell or any other promoting their message." What promoted these public comment emails in the first place is that the city refuses to provide a city sponsor for use of the Collin Park band shell for religious worship groups. Why? Listen to Mr. Verbeek's reply. If an individual or organization was allowed to use the band shell, it may get more use than what is desired in a neighborhood, creating more times than desired with amplified music crowds and disturbing both the neighborhood, but also taking away from other uses of Collin Park. Did Juneteenth violate this qualification? Yes, it did. Did Pride Festival violate this reasoning? Yes, it did. The peaceful neighborhood and play area of Collin Park was disturbed by these populated events. Many people in this community would not attend the Pride Festival with their families because the content is basically sexually oriented. For example, the Ottawa County Health Department had sexual application instruction pamphlets and condoms, wear one, available. Council, did you bring your children to this Pride event? Probably not. Few people had their children in the play area either. The final suggestion from Mr. Verbeek is there are ample other locations that are available for your requested use. That was for religious worship and other protected First Amendment rights to free speech and expression, including but not limited to the many parks in our park system and the Holland Civic Center place as a rental. Perhaps Howard Dunn Park, a non-residential area, would be more appropriate for the Pride Festival, and the Civic Center would be perfect for Juneteenth. Let's protect our peaceful neighborhoods from wall festivals. Collin Park has one of the most beautiful settings. It is to be used for the American Legion concert as is intended. Last night's Patriotic Nation honoring concert was amazing. God bless America. Happy and safe 4th of July. I'm not against any people group. Actually, it's what I'm for, and I'm for consistency.
Mr. Mayor, that is 5 minutes.
I'm sorry, your time has expired.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to address council at this time? Seeing none, I will close the public comment period. Next item on the agenda is item number 7, special order of the day, public hearings. A Community and Neighborhood Services, a PA 198 tax abatement request from Atlas Headrest LLC. Mr. Van Beek.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. I'm going to ask Community and Neighborhood Services Director Mark Myers to come up and introduce this topic. And I think we have some attendees that are able to answer any questions also.
Thank you, Keith. Keith, do you have the clicker? Or Matt? We'll do it this way. Sounds good. All right. Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm pleased to present yet another industrial expansion in the city. If you recall, in March, the City Council had approved a speculative tax abatement for a lease facility at 72 West 64th Street, constructed by Electric Steel. If you recall at the hearing, the owner mentioned that about a third of the property was leased. Of course, he couldn't say who that was, but now we know. It's Atlas Headrest. Atlas Headrest has applied for a new tax abatement for this property. Atlas Headrest is a small local family-owned designer and manufacturer of ergonomic headrests for Herman Miller and Hayworth Furniture. The company is currently located at 1351 South Waverly, Suite 370, and this will be an expansion to their existing facility. The project includes almost $1.7 million in real property investment. They will take over 19,000 square feet of space. It will retain 15 full-time jobs and add 5 new full-time jobs within a 2-year period. Again, as Keith said, we do have representatives here from the company and also from Lakeshore Advantage who assisted with the IFT application.
And any questions for staff? Great.
Any questions for company representatives?
Yeah.
I'm happy to call them up.
Yes, I think that we do.
All right.
Go ahead, Mr. Corbin.
So we were talking about 15 full-time, retaining 15 full-time positions and adding 5 over the next 2 years. Can you tell me what the range in which, the salary range for those additional positions?
Sure. Absolutely. So we had 15 employees as of March, and we've already added 4 employees since moving into this new space. We're now to 19 employees on payroll. The typical employee is a full-time manufacturing production employee. We work 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday, 4 10s. They make on average about $20 per hour, so a nice living wage that's competitive with most manufacturers in this area. Yeah.
Any other questions? Great. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Appreciate it. All right, this does call for a public hearing. So I will open the public hearing at this time. Is there anyone who would like to address council in regard to this particular item? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. What is the pleasure of council in regard to this item?
Move to approve?
We got a motion from Sol. Is there support?
Support.
Support from Vreeman. Any discussion? Seeing none. Brenda, would you please call the roll?
Vreeman.
Yes.
Raymond.
Yes.
Corbin.
Yes.
Soul.
Yes.
Rowan.
Yes.
Shay.
Yes.
Bird.
Yes.
And Mayor Box.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Great, thank you. Next item on the agenda is item number 9, written petitions and communications. In addition to providing the public the opportunity to address council in person at our meetings, we do also have an email address where you can send us written communications, and that is publiccomment@cityofholland.com, publiccomment@cityofholland.com. And when we receive those, we accept those into the record at our regular meeting. We do have some of those this evening. And so I would entertain a motion from council to accept those into the record. We don't actually read them out loud during our meetings, but we do accept those into the record. And so I would entertain a motion to that effect at this time.
So moved.
Moved by Sol. Is there support? Support by Bird. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, item number 10, from the Planning Commission, a rezoning request for 740 College Avenue. Mr. Van Beek.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. Another item this evening, and I'm going to ask Historic and Department Planner Anna Minabeau to come up here. And she's going to outline this request for 7040 College Avenue, which is for Rest Haven, and we have representatives from Rest Haven here also. You know, this has been on your agenda to set this public hearing, but it's also been through the Planning Commission process. So I won't say any more so you can make your presentation, Anna.
All right. Well, hello, Council. Thanks for having me here tonight. So I am here to talk about 740 College Avenue, probably more commonly known as the Rest Haven Maplewoods campus. So we've got an overview of that up on the screens for you. That's what it looks like today. So they are asking to rezone approximately 3 acres of land that's located here from low-density residential, LDR, to a planned unit development, a PUD. The western half of the parcel, so let's see, that's going to be on the left side of your screen, is what we're focusing on for the rezoning. The eastern half, where the buildings already are, there's already a PUD in place there since 2016. So this would be an expansion of the existing PUD. You'll notice there is sort of an empty lot closer to 32nd Street. There's a house that used to be there. It's since been removed. Keith, if you can go to the next slide. I mentioned that because it's still on the zoning map. So this is the zoning map for this area right now. That bright purple is the PUD. The yellow surrounding it is LDR. It might be a little tricky to see, but there's an additional yellow highlighted line. That's the whole area we're looking at. All of that would become PUD with this rezoning request. So if we go one more slide, you can see there it is in the city of Holland. All right, and we'll go one more. So this is a map of that original rezoning request back from 2016. So this was to allow for the construction of the cottages at Maplewoods, which is now located behind that original building. And so you can see that that outline matches up with what's purple on our zoning map today. So that's where this started, and what we're talking about now is a continuation of that. So we'll jump to the site plan, which should be the next slide. So with the PUD, typically rezoning we would look at separately from a site plan, but because this is a planned unit development, what they want to do there is what's impacting how this will be zoned. So I just want to talk a little bit about what you're seeing here. Just like in 2016, this rezoning is to allow for an expansion of the care facilities. The expansion is planned to happen in 3 phases. It's the first phase that you're seeing drawn now on your screen. This phase 1 was approved by Planning Commission at their last meeting at the start of June, and that approval is contingent on successful rezoning here tonight. It will add 24 additional care units, and there will also be parking and a new vehicular entrance located off 32nd Street. So that's kind of that gray chute you see going down to the south, 32nd. So I just want to talk a little bit about why PUD and why PUD zoning in a case like this. First of all, it offers the flexibility within UDO, our Unified Development Ordinance. PUDs exist in part to create higher density residential developments where they might not otherwise be permitted, and that's what we are considering this care facility. Again, it's got 24 units there. In this case, care facilities are not allowed in the LDR as a permitted use, which is the current zoning, but they would be allowed in something like HDR. However, not all the requirements for HDR would be appropriate in a setting like this in an otherwise low-density residential neighborhood. So the PUD helps us to kind of control some of these impacts. So just for an example, or a couple of examples, this PUD is going to seek a different setback from the residential area, in this case asking for a larger one that would have been required. And they're going to be using a larger fence, permitting an 8-foot fence where otherwise a 6-foot fence would have been permitted. Again, this is to help with screening to the nearby residential areas. Both of these stipulations were also included in the original 2016 PUD and have been reviewed and received positively and are already put into practice on this site. Parking is another big topic. Care facilities are different than a typical high-density residential use because their parking needs fluctuate throughout the day, and there's not the same demand for overnight parking. With this in mind, the PUD is looking to decrease the amount of spaces required from half a space per unit to what would have, in HDR, would have been required a 1.25 space for a care facility. So again, PRDs are intended to provide this flexibility to achieve development such as this, that's also in accordance with the city's master plan. And so can you jump 2 slides, Keith? There we go. So the master plan. 740 College is master planned as urban residential for its future land use. Higher density residential buildings that are appropriate on arterial corridors, which would be 32nd Street in this case. Additionally, it's noted in UDO that existing complementary uses should be preserved and encouraged, which in this case, perfect example, Rest Haven's care facility. So this is how it fits into our future land use. It's right in alignment with it. All right, can I have you go backwards 1 slide? There we go.
You give good instructions.
I wrote the instructions down for myself, so it's nice. All right, so I mentioned that there's going to be some future phases, so I just want to talk a little bit about what that might look like or what that's planned to look like. Phase 1 has already been approved, again contingent on the results of tonight, and each additional phase will also have to go to Planning Commission for approval, so this is not the last time they'll be seen. Phase 2 includes removing the existing church on the property to build an additional assisted living facility, so you see that down to the left. And then phase 3 would be a removal and replacement of the existing legacy building. And then that would be, a new building would be built to serve as independent living. So you would be able to move residents over from one to build the other. So that's down the line. You know, a lot of things gotta happen for that to happen, including this PUD rezoning. So the PUD that would be approved today would regulate how these phases can be built in the future, and it would give Rest Haven the guidelines and the assurance that they can expand in this space under the current PUD zoning. So I do have a couple of different slides in case there's questions, but I will leave it with there now. We've got some use charts if you want to see why we say 32nd Street is a major road, though I think hopefully most of us know that. But yeah, happy to answer questions.
Great. Any questions for staff? Yeah, Mr. Shea.
Thank you. Very thorough. I wrote down a bunch of questions and then just got to cross them out as you answered them. But you mentioned, so we are talking about the entire, both phase 2 and 3 being PUD. So in that case, do we know, roughly speaking, obviously things change, and maybe this is more for the Rest Haven folks, how many units they would be hoping to be getting out of the phase 2 and 3?
I know that's somewhere.
96 in phase 2.
96 in
Great.
phase 2.
And then about 24 to 32 in phase 3.
And 24 to 32 in phase 3. Thank you to my friends from Rest Haven.
That's wonderful. I just think it's great, and we need to remember that this is housing, and so this would be a huge, in my opinion, a huge W. So thank you so much for the presentation. Thanks, Rest Haven.
Any other questions for staff? Yes, Mr. Vreeman.
More tongue in cheek, but in the old facility quite often, and to get that updated or eliminated would be amazing.
Yes, that has been a common theme in many of these conversations.
Happy to speak on that more too if you'd like.
Yeah. Right. Any other questions for staff? Or for our friends at Rest Haven? No? All right, great.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. What is the pleasure of council in regard to this item?
Move to approve?
Moved by Shay. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Raymond. Any discussion? Mr. Corbin?
Yes, so many of you know, I do not like to vote on changing LDR. I said that and I've expressly said that. And I want to be consistent with that. However, you have done a wonderful job at Rest Haven. I've seen your amazing work firsthand. I've got 2 parents right now at that same facility. So you've done a wonderful job. You've been good stewards of the area. I think this is a wonderful option or advantage for the city and the community. It sits within a residential area, many in which some of those people can still live in that area when they decide to leave their homes and find a place nearby, close by where they are currently residing. I know that, like I said, I wanted to preserve LDR as much as possible, but to me, as the words that was used by our staff appropriately, arterial corridor, it's appropriate to the arterial corridor that we're at. It's appropriate to the current conditions that we have on that property or adjacent to that property. It makes sense. It really does. So I appreciate the fact that you brought this forward, and I think it's going to be wonderful for our community, and I'll be voting yes on this issue.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Corbin. Is any other discussion? I spoke about this project at the Planning Commission level, and I like it. I think it has something for everybody, as has been commented on here by a number of council members. As Mr. Shea said, this is housing, and I want to make sure that we don't forget that this is housing. And as Mr. Vreeman said, I have also been in the Legacy Building. In the 1990s, my wife's grandmother lived in the Legacy Building, and it needed updating then. I've been in the small elevators. I've been in the small corridors. I've been in the small rooms. So I'm rooting for phase 3 on this as well. I used to live in this neighborhood. I used to live at 32 West 32nd Street. It was my first house. I'm very, very familiar with this site. As I said at the Planning Commission level, at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning, I walked this parking lot with my wife when she was extremely pregnant, trying to induce labor and have a baby. It is part and parcel of the fabric of this neighborhood, Mr. Corbin. You are exactly right. Families who live in this neighborhood end up having their parents and their loved ones continue to live in this neighborhood. Young children go and visit their grandparents in this neighborhood, as we did with my wife's grandmother. And I also always want to remind people that the same way that we think of Habitat for Humanity and Jubilee Ministries as housing partners in this community, we need to think of Rest Haven as a housing partner in this community as well. That is a nonprofit organization, and one of the reasons why they are able to do the things that they are able to do in this community and build projects like this is because they have the support of the community, and people are donating money to be able to make these types of projects happen in ways that they would not be able to happen otherwise. This is 24 new housing units. While they may be assisted living facility units for the elderly, that creates a domino effect down the line. And Mr. Corbin, you said your folks, you have relatives who are living in this facility. Recently, my mother was living in a Rest Haven facility as well, and I use this example often. It's anecdotal, but it's true. She moved into a Rest Haven facility. My wife and I bought her condominium. My son and daughter-in-law bought our house. Another young couple bought their house. Another young couple moved out of an apartment to be able to buy their house. That opened, my mother moving into a Rest Haven assisted living facility opened up an apartment for a first-time couple and a home for a first-time home buyer. That's what this type of housing does. And I think that this is very important for us to remember as one of our top priorities, that housing like this, housing of any type, is important in this community. and this is 24 units of housing. So I too will be voting yes on this. Any other comments, questions from council members? Yes.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
a point of order.
Yes.
The second reading of an ordinance, there was already a public hearing, I realize that at the
Yes.
planning commission level. But Rule 310B of city council rules does require that the mayor shall ask if any member of the audience would like to speak to an ordinance on second reading before it's adopted.
I
So
thank you for that.
If you would, I just, as a point of order.
I would love to do that. Thank you, Mr. Duckworth. I would be very happy to do that. And I would like to ask, is there any member of the audience who would like to address council in regard to this item before we move on with this? Seeing none, I will close that item. And now I will ask, is there any member of council who would like to have any other further comment on this item? Seeing none. Brenda, would you please call the roll?
Was there a motion to?
Oh, we don't have a motion.
Yes,
Sorry.
we
No.
did.
Yes, we
We
did.
have
Yes, we did. We had a
Okay.
motion and a second.
We were in
Wonderful. All right.
discussion.
Yes, we were in discussion. Yes, thank you. Would you please call the roll?
Okay, Raymond. Yes. Corbin.
Yes.
Soul.
Yes.
Rowan.
Yes.
Shay.
Yes.
Bird.
Yes.
Freeman.
Yes.
Mayor Box.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Great, thank you. Next item on the agenda, item 12, Echo 6.1 gifts. Brenda, would you please review the gifts for us?
Okay, this week, the city manager's office is pleased to report the following gifts. For the downtown group Windmill Island Gardens, $1,000 from Joyce Cortman for the beautification of Windmill Island Gardens. And for the Department of Public Safety Police Division, $100 from City Hill Church.
Great, thank you. What is the pleasure of the council in regard to the gifts?
Move to approve said donations with a token of our appreciation and credit it to the appropriate accounts with an expression of gratitude to be forwarded to the donors.
There's motion by Sol. Is there support? Support by Vreeman. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, 12 Echo 6.2 Fiscal Year 2025 Strategic Plan and Business Plan Final Report. Mr. Van Beek.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. I saw something kind of fun on a social media page of another community the other day where they were celebrating fiscal Happy New Year. So when Lynn's back from GFOA conference, I'm going to recommend that for next June 30, July 1. But it does remind us that we are now in a new fiscal year, which also brings upon a time where we do a final report on the strategic and business plan of last year. It was in your packet. It's out predominantly on the website. What I have here are just kind of the highlights in the 4 different goal areas. I'm sure everyone might pull out different highlights from those goal areas. I'm happy to spend as much or as little time on all of this as you want, but I did think it important to put it on regular agenda instead of consent agenda. And again, this is one of the key things that it's my responsibility to use this quarterly and otherwise to report back to you on how we're making progress or not towards our organizational goals. And I certainly think fiscal year 2025 was a very solid year.
All right. Questions for the city manager? All right. What is the pleasure of council in regard to this item?
Move to approve.
We have motion by Sol. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Raymond. Any discussion? I can't let it go without saying this is kind of the final part of that process that we start year round, brings it all together, and it's so seamless that by the time we get to this point, it almost seems anticlimactic, but deserves a good job and an attaboy at least, which seems a little bit unsatisfying, but incredibly satisfying at the same time. So well done to you and your staff. Things seem like they run so smoothly sometimes that we neglect to pay close attention to it, but we are. So thank you.
I think I speak on behalf of staff. We'd rather just keep on moving and it's all good.
All right, great. Yes, Ms. Soul.
And I just like to add, now we're going to start the process again, and that usually starts at the council retreat. And I'm wondering for putting it out there, it's the renovation at the, I'm drawing a blank. Not the Discovery Center.
The Graff Nature Center?
Yes, if we can have it there, because it's going to be new. Just the FYI, I'm just throwing
Yeah,
it out
we've
there.
already talked about that. I think come January, that might be the place this coming year. So.
Awesome,
All right.
thank you.
Great. All right, any other discussion? We've got a motion and support. Any other discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, item 13, communications from the city manager, Mr. Van Beek.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Just a handful of very quick things. One, hopefully a lot of you follow kind of our social media pages, both as a city, but then also with our departments and Department of Public Safety. Put out a fun one this week, but also a reminder for fireworks safety and to follow those rules. We're in that time of the year, one of those times of the year where there are rules published by the state that we follow, but we ask people to definitely be mindful of both those safety requirements, but also be mindful of your neighbors. I will also say in the first 24 hours of it being publicized, we already had 14 applicants for the Ambassador Academy. So that's great news, and I guess that's also out there for people that are residents of Holland and want to attend. You might want to get to applying because we do have a cap. We really can't handle more than 25 people. So that's really good news. I will just confirm for everyone we are working with the attorney's office and pulling information together to have a further discussion and something for you to consider regarding Headley. So be looking for that later in July. And then I almost hate to continue to do this, but I will point out that we do consistently offer to all groups equally, and that those that apply for use of Collin Park or any other park, it's actually right on the application for using that park of other things that you can do, including a temporary stage. So that is equally offered to all groups. And that's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda, appointments and communications from the mayor. I have a number of mayoral appointments and reappointments this evening. I'm asking the council to appoint and reappoint Katie Sparling to the Historic District Commission for a 3-year term expiring June 30, 2028. And the appointments of council members Scott Corbin and Michael Schultheis, HBPW Board of Directors Kyle Engbers and PJ Thompson, Hope College Representative Jeffrey Christians, and Community Representatives Boyd Feltman, Brian Pajow, Travis Williams to the Holland Community Energy Plan Strategic Development Team, as well as approve the reappointments of Brooke Anderson and Alec Miller to the Planning Commission, each for a 3-year term expiring on June 30, 2028, and Rhonda Pedsack to the Herrick District Library Board for a 4-year term expiring on June 30, 2029. And I would be looking for a motion in that regard.
Motion to approve.
Moved by Rowan. Is there support? Support by Vreeman. Any discussion or questions?
Just a question about the list of names being presented. I think it's a power plant that you had said.
Yes, that's for the Community Energy Plan Strategic Development Team.
Is that a new team?
Essentially, I think that's almost exactly the same group of people that we had to review the Community Energy Plan 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Yeah, it's close to 4 years ago.
Close to 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Time flies.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So
So
it's a reappointment.
reappointments. It's essentially an ad hoc team that we
Right.
put together every 3 or 4 years to review the Community Energy Plan and make recommendations to City Council on the Community Energy Plan. All right. So we have motion and support. Any other discussion? All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. That is all I have this evening. Item number 15, appointments, motions, communications from council members. And Mr. Corbin, I believe you have something this evening.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. It is recommended that City Council approve the appointment of Jane Peaks and the reappointment of Dave Bauer as an alternate to the Board of Appeals, each for a 3-year term expiring June 30th, 2028.
All right.
Motion to approve.
Moved by Rowan. Is there support? Support by Vreeman. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Any other appointments, motions, communications from council members? All right, at this time, I would entertain a motion to enter into a closed session for a number of different issues. One, to discuss a written legal opinions with the city attorney. Also, to enter into a closed session for periodic personnel evaluation with the city manager pursuant to a written request for a closed session. And also to consider the purchase or lease of real property. We can do that in regard to one motion.
So moved.
Moved by Corbin. Is there support? Support by Byrd. We do need to have a roll call vote for that. Brenda, would you please call the roll?
Corbin?
Yes.
Sol?
Excuse me. So, yes.
Rowan?
Yes.
Shay?
Yes.
Byrd?
Yes.
Freeman?
Yes.
Raymond? Yes. Mayor Box?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Great, thank you. And while we're taking some time to clear council chambers, I will let those folks who are watching at home know, one, that the video stream will be ending. We will be coming out of closed session. At the end of that closed session, we will likely be engaging in some action afterwards, but the video stream will not continue afterwards. We're going to be sending our video folks home, but if you do want to know what that action is, you can check with City Hall tomorrow morning after 8:30 in the morning. You can check here and find out, or if you are really, really interested in finding out, you are welcome to come and wait in the lobby of City Hall until we come out of closed session, and you can enter in person and come in here and see, because we will go back into open session, but we will be entering closed session. The video stream will be stopping and not be starting back up again. So with that, we will enter closed session, and you won't see us back on video stream again. Thank you.